Yeah, the truth may be striking to a lot of people, but telling the truth and coming out with things that were uh, hor- horrors or things that happen or atrocities aren't for us to all sit there and go put our heads in our lap and in our hands and be all like, "Oh my God, what do I do? What do I do now?" This society that the Democrats and Obama have put forth to us now, have us suggesting we should just, oh my God, what did I do? Instead of actually having, because the man obviously doesn't know anything about resolving any situations. There he was taught how to, um, I think it is, I think sincerely, I do believe he was taught to terrorize people rather than to sympathize and really come up with a plan to um, actually make things better or make people quit being terrorists. So he's going to be more provoking as a type of terrorist sympathizing person who thinks that the world owes these people things for the way that life has given them, their own societies have done to them. Is a it has a lot to do with the way that the world, affected them from the way that they are over there affecting their own self with actually nobody really having anything to do with why um, people act medieval, and then they want us to act like we're supposed to be civilized when they bring medieval over here or put us in the middle of medieval anywhere else around the world or anywhere. They want us to act civil when everything else is medieval. So, um, obviously, if that ain't just pure stupid, that has an evil intention and a plot that is well calculated and framed. And it is a very, I'd say, demonic for sure. No way around that. But it's a very evil and cold, sadistic um, practice. Um, so um, you instead of improving your society or helping di- diplomatically, you know, things to be more sovereign or better, or and people not to be oppressed and mistreated, you know, what kind of ends is Obama trying to justify the means with? So I have absolutely no um, real idea about exactly how this all plans because I don't wake up every day trying to figure out how to actually take over the world or how to manipulate people or how to mistreat people. I think of things like how to make people succeed, how to make the world a better place, how can we really actually all just get along. And it leads me to believe that people feel sorry for themselves or whatever they're mad at. So here's what we do: we be a big pussy about it. Instead of being a man and putting man britches on and bucking up to it and just dealing and facing the consequences or whatever it is that, you have to suck it up and swallow your pride or whatever you have to do to get to resolve the situation. Here we are with people who really think that just sitting there and bitching and moaning and complaining about everything is just going to solve the world's problems, to solve the riddle of everything. So, when there's no solution and there's really no resolve, there's no end in sight with the light that says happiness, victorious, um, basically satisfaction, all in a ball. Right there is the end light, and you get to it. You finally get to it, but Instead of having that, they have a perspective of, oh, we should just bitch and complain, and there's no real way to resolve any of this, is there? There's never going to be an end to, where people's satisfactions and their main desires that make them even an honest person, or make them more of an honest person, can get to, because we don't have any examples of where to get to. So that right there, it's kind of interesting to be saying that, because that sounds like it would appease to, or it would help somebody think fundamentally, to even appease to a terrorist act, even not just to potential threats or people who talk shit out of their ass all day long about America or about whatever this and that. Instead of having a meaningful solution to the conversation, when they're talking, they don't express even the desire. They lack the desire of an accomplishment, of being able to actually have that in-game solution, uh, well-rounded plans. You know, you can even have Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. You know, different things that could determine different outcomes, but you have to have a positive mind frame. You can't have a terrorist um, way of thinking of things. And if Obama won't change his way, people need to make a petition. There has to be a petition for enough people in America to make him and Joe Biden leave, and just to leave the office absent. And we will have to make the rest of the government work while they're absent for the time being. Anybody who's being corrupt or deviant, is trying to purposely waste money, abuse the economy like that, instead of actually working as a politician. And people who make laws, they're supposed to be smart people, can't balance the budget and wipe our debt. We have more debt now, so say like each person out of America that's here are considered to each individually own a portion of the debt that has been made, and that is something like $100,000 or something, probably. We're all probably at least $100,000 or more, or some sky high amount that we don't even know about. That each individual, because of how high our national debt is, each person individually owes that. So owes that debt, and only certain people have um, that amount of money to be able to pay that and have no problem just paying the debt off, their debt to it, and contributing that part and then walking away because they have the money. But what are you going to do if you don't have the money? So um, I just prefer not to, if I'm a little bit upset or a lot upset even, I appreciate it whenever I'm able to have a level head about it and not be bitter, because I have had my moments and my times, but bitterness is a very bad thing to have, and not to have the abilities to think outside of that perspective and have a positive one, where the end one is a positive, meaningful solution, not maybe even just for you, but for other people. It benefits other people too, not just yourself. So, you know, again, I'm here to point things out. I'm not here to be self righteous or anything like that. I just think that the guy is one of our enemy. Obviously, he talks a lot of crap. The things that he's done here are very harmful, and only um, a terrorist would do some of the things that he does, and he still will do until he's gone, until they kick him out of the White House. He's still going to act, in my opinion, as you call him the Manchurian candidate or whatever you want. He acts like a person that was raised to be well-rounded enough to where they can um, not have their personal uh, matters showing what a if he's a dipshit, Obama. If he's a dipshit or if he's a mean person, whatever. There's something about him that is obviously is narcissistic in a very negative way. So, um, in my opinion, it's just like you call him whatever you want. What I think of him is a somebody who tried to stay well-rounded enough before he can unleash his hatred and how much he really hates to devastate you as much as he can, and he doesn't care if he gets killed over it. Um, he'll do it to no end for actual real terrorists and real evil people, even to his own end, in my opinion, because where's he going to go? Where did Saddam Hussein go? If something really tragic happened here and we were bombed or whatever, this and that, they can go and hide underneath the hole, but when they come out, they're going to be surrounded by people that's not going to be friendly to them. That'll kill them, make sure they're dead, or will enslave people like Obama. And he'll have no other choice but to try to be strong enough to be a slave long enough, or they'll kill him. So it's very ironic and it's very mind-boggling, very troubling how deviant people like Obama are. You elected him, Bill Clinton, um, even people like Jimmy Carter are just wrong. They're just doing things maybe to, despite the Republican Party or the guy who acts conservative, trying to balance the budget, pay the debt off, and we have to have a debt there, but keep a healthy relation there where you keep things moving. You don't stagnate things to make the debt go blow up on purpose. So it was almost pointless why you would ever make all those manufacturing companies leave America. When Bill Clinton was president, that's what he did. It was NAFTA. I'm not sure if that was NAFTA, the name of that. But Bill Clinton, when he was president, he sent all of our manufacturing companies the best that he could to overseas locations. So what happened there is more sweatshops brewed out of there. It took our money overseas, many money sources overseas. Then allowed the dictation of people where they can be treated like sweatshops, so they're paid a minimum amount of money for what we all know, for the most part, has been crap merchandise for a long time. There's very little quality, and most stuff like that is just considered junk. So they took our money, spun it around like that, and Democrats will come out today in our face, and they'll tell us, "Oh, that's not American. Oh, that's not made in America. That's not made in America." This guy, Harry Reid, you also need to know people like that and the other Democrats, the more higher up they get in their chain, the people who they're forced to vote for because they're all like forced to, like, union thug bosses force you to say, "Oh, we're gonna kill you and bust your head if you don't do what we tell you." Anyways, that guy Harry Reid, who does exactly what they ask him to do, he boasted and bragged about how his own deviant lies um, helped, maybe not caused all the way Mitt Romney losing the election to Obama, but his lies have helped that. So they believe that their lies, corruption is corrupt, has a bit of, you know, what do you say, wiggle room? How do you say they their conscience doesn't tell them that's wrong, to lie or whatever it is, that for whatever they're trying to do, they have to keep it, the economy stagnant, wasting money, um, doing the Bill Clinton playbook, you know, and have to hate the Republican all the way, no matter what the Republicans' objective or goals or whatever they're doing is. The Democrats have to, as a party, have to do the opposite. So it would be um, pretty interesting if America only had one party, and the whole party they voted for different people, not necessarily bashing one another, but how they can explain how they're going to improve the country and better the economy and better these jobs and people's way of life, the standard of living. Everybody is brought up by a one party system that cares about everybody, is uncorrupt, um, is able to come clean and point out the corruption without, speaking of stagnant, without making the air stagnant, because you have to go about it all politically, and you can't just you know be um, frank with people. You want to be very frank and honest. So, in my opinion, I think he's been very unfrank and very dishonest. Is very un-American, and to me, in my opinion, the guy reminds me of if a actual terrorist would have been charismatic somehow enough to wait to become president so that his terrorist butt can go and manipulate things as a terrorist in your government. And he believes that as a totalitarian over power lord or whatever warlord or whatever the hell Obama thinks he is. I believe that he thinks that he has a right to break laws because he is going forward with what do you say, removing our rights and taking away the blocks that hold up our rights. So why would it be against the law? A lot of the things, and it's the only thing I could think of, because I try not to think like a monster, like a pure monster. Like, how do I get even with America? I'm gonna become president, and then I'll get even with that America. No matter where we're at, we're at 2016 now, and we can't give every good example in the world on how to maintain and be stable, to be a free country, not have to close our borders and isolate ourselves in here or anything like that. But we make trading and everything um, basically it would all be an example. It would be something to follow as a model on how we do it. Up to this point, we're not being allowed to, as Americans, to go ahead and do that and to continue being the world's role model or model on how you do things. So we're being restrained. So it just makes me think that Obama isn't just a terrorist, but he's an enemy Muslim terrorist that tried to do whatever, not go out and terrorize people with a gun or something like these other dipshits do long enough. He took matters really into his own hands and was able to go beyond other people's capacity doing that. So look at the last thing I leave you with is the word caliphate.